CBS Television Sports presents from the Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia, the final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament. There is no sight quite like Augusta National in the springtime with the flowers in full bloom. Augusta National Golf Club, as always, filled with emotion, filled with beauty. Roberto DiVincenzo, who made so many friends here last year, did not make the cut. But indicative of how much this place means to golf, he has stayed here to watch the final two rounds. Arnold Palmer has had rounds of 73, 75, 70, and 74. The pre-tournament favorite, Jack Nicklaus, looked as if he were ready to take charge on opening day when he shot a 68. But Jack's putter has forsaken him, and he has had rounds of 75 and 72. Perhaps the most gratifying part of this tournament so far has been the reception given the defending champion, Bob Goldie. It has been incredible. This was Thursday. Billy Casper had this birdie putt at 17 to go 6 under par and take the lead.
Birdie 3 for Billy Casper, and 6 under par goes Billy, and he has the lead in this tournament.
Friday, Casper had slipped one shot behind Bruce Devlin, and he had this at 14 for a birdie.
Beautiful putt by Billy Casper. He is now tied for the lead at 6 under par. And one of the finest putters ever to play this game, Billy Casper, has just moved into a tie for the lead.
On Saturday, tall George Archer thrust himself in. He had this for an eagle at 15.
This is for an eagle. We've had none here today. Until right then. So just like that, George Archer, in recording the first eagle of the day at 15 and the second of the tournament, the other belonged to Jack Nicklaus, George Archer has dealt himself in to contention as he moves to 6 under par.
And Archer continued his charge at 17.
George Archer goes 7 under par and challenges Billy Casper for the lead.
And live, let's go out now to 14.
We are watching Charles Coody hitting his second shot to the 14th green. Charles Coody, eagle 13, 8 under par now. And there you see Charles Coody's second shot over the green, just short of the gallery. Let's go to 18.
CBS extensive color coverage of the 1969 Masters Championship goes back to the 14th hole. Let's meet our announcers. At 14, Frank Gifford.
Number 14, a very difficult hole for the golfer looking for his par or a bird. From tee to green is 420 yards up a gradual incline. A long straight drive is of great value here, and exact putting, because the 14th green is one of the most difficult to putt on the Augusta National course. Now let's go to Ray Scott at 15.
This par 5, 520-yard hole has been a birdie hole through the first 3 rounds of the tournament because weather conditions have been ideal and the players have been able to go over the water and for the green with the second shot. Some players, notably Billy Casper, have elected to play short with the second, pitch on with the third. And now to 16 and Henry Longhurst.
The 16th depends very largely, as usual, on where they put the pin. Yesterday we had it right in the far top left-hand corner. Today we've got it still right at the back of the green, only about 12 feet from the edge. And the hole is made more difficult today by the fact that there's quite a stiff little breeze blowing in from the player's right. That's the 16th, and now to the 17th and Frank Gleber.
This is the shortest par 4 in the back 9. It measures 400 yards with trees coming into play on both sides of the fairway, 200 to 250 yards out from the tee. The green, though not overly large, has a lot of geography to it and has been playing very fast. As a result, birdies have been few and far between on 17. Now to 18 and Pat Summerall.
The 420-yard par 4 18th demands accuracy off the tee. The ideal tee shot
would be just to the right of those two fairway bunkers and leave the golfer about 150 yards uphill to the 18th green. Now let's check the scores in the fourth and final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament.
And in this quest for the championship, we now have a tie between Charles Coody and George Archer, who are both 8 under par. Coody just made an eagle at 13. Archer followed with a birdie, I beg your pardon. They're both 8 under. Weiskopf 6 under. Don January finished at 5 under. Knudson 4 under. Hebert at 4 under. Miller Barber 4 under. And Billy Casper, who had a 40 on the front nine, 4 under par. Tommy Aaron 3 under par. Mason Rudolph 2 under. Here is Coody's putt at 13 to put him 8 under. This is for an eagle. Let's go now to 14.
And this is George Archer, who has just birdied the par 5 13th with his tee shot at 14. George Archer, 8 under par. And as you see, Archer down the right side of the 420-yard par 4 14th. This is Charles Coody. He is our co-leader at 8 under par. He is some 40 feet away from the pin here at 14. He'll have to chip some 10 feet to the green, and then he'll have some 30 foot for his roll. And I would not think that Charles Coody was happy with that. He will be approximately 8 feet away for his par here at 14. George Knudson of Canada, Charles Coody's playing companion. Just about a 20-foot putt for his birdie here at 14. Knudson at 4 under par. And Knudson comes up short. He will have perhaps a 2-foot putt for his par here at 14. And George Knudson with his par 4 here at 14 to remain 4 under par. And now a critical putt for Charles Coody, our co-leader, along with George Archer. This will be for his par 4. And waiting down the fairway is our co-leader, George Archer, who has driven to the right side of the 14th fairway. There is his ball. And now Charles Coody with his attempt at par here at 14. You saw it. Charles Coody going by on the high side will have this short putt for his bogey 5. Charles Coody with a bogey 5 at 14 to go back to 7 under par. And back on the fairway is George Archer, who is now the sole leader in the Masters tournament in this 4th and final round. Let's go to Dr. Kerry Middlecoff.
Well, Frank, I think that George Archer might have gotten a little bit of a bounce off of the gallery. That there's a lot of room over there, but he was very close to these trees. But it looks to me as though he's got an open shot, probably 175 yards or so, and no obstruction between him and the flag except this very difficult green to putt. Okay, Frank.
And that pin is located in just about the middle of the green, some 35 or 40 feet in from the golfer's left side. At the front of the green is a depressed area that has caused a lot of trouble for the golfers here at 14. And George Archer, playing right behind Charles Coody, is well aware that he has regained a one-shot lead. Perhaps checking his distance. Let's go quickly to 15.
On the tee, Charles Coody, 520-yard par 5 15th. One stroke off the pace is Coody. Back to 14.
Where we'll watch Archer's second shot. And George Archer has come up short here at 14, perhaps 10 feet. And he is not happy with his second shot. George Archer's playing companion, Tom Weiskopf, at 6 under par, definitely a contender. With a big drive. Here at 14, he'll walk up this slight incline to further check the pin placement. And this is Billy Casper for a birdie 4 on 13. Billy Casper to go 5 under. Again, back to Tom Weiskopf for his second shot here at 14. Tom Weiskopf, trailing George Archer by 2 shots, is 6 under. Wieskopf hitting at the top of the depressed area, bit and rolled back off of the green here at 14. And there you see the 2 balls as Tom Weiskopf walks up to the green. And so at this moment in the 4th and final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament, the leader at 8 under par is George Archer.
Action here at the 4th and final round of the 1969 Masters Championship grows tighter. Jack Nicklaus in the 18th fairway bunker, taking a look up to us here at the 18th green. Now out to 14.
Archer's third shot going past the pin as he chipped by the pin perhaps 14 feet. And now, young Tom Weiskopf, just off the edge of the green, had perhaps a chance to learn something from Archer's shot on the same line. Weiskopf, who hit well on the green at the top of the depressed area we told you about, bit and then rolled back off the green. Let's go now to 15.
Charles Coody has a decision to make. Earlier in the day, the golfers at 15 had a following wind. That is not so anymore. Coody, from the standpoint of distance, is of course in position to go for the green. From behind the green, we look up the fairway to where Charles Coody and George Knudson stand near their tee shots. The distance for Coody, approximately 220 yards. Note that grass coming down, practically no wind. Let's go out to 14.
Where Tom Weiskopf is looking over a birdie putt. He is putting from off the green. And it will be a putt of perhaps 50 feet. Tom Weiskopf coming up some 4 feet short. And now George Archer. Leading the tournament at 8 under par, will be putting back some 6 or 8 feet for his par. Just on the low side is George Archer, and he will have this short putt for his bogey 5 here at 14. George Archer going back to 7 under par, and now a very important putt for Tom Weiskopf. Tom Weiskopf could move to within 1 shot of the leader, George Archer. The next hole, the long par 5, 15th, which Tom Weiskopf could easily reach in 2. But here now at 14, a critical putt for Tom Weiskopf. Tom Weiskopf with this par 4. Let's go to 15.
Charles Coody is about to hit his second shot. Knudson was away, and Knudson is on in 2. Coody goes for the green with his second at the par 5, 15th. Over the back edge. He'll be about 45 feet away from the pin. Charles Coody lies 2 at what has so far in this tournament been a birdie-producing hole. It will be a very delicate chip shot coming back for Charles Coody. But this gallery, just as you and I have been following that scoreboard for every instant. Kerry Middlecoff?
Well, Ray Charlie hit a wonderful shot there, but I think maybe he was a little bit afraid of the water, and he's got a tough third shot. It's awfully fast down there, and he doesn't have, even though the flag is down near the water, doesn't have much green to work with, and I think that's what you do, though, when you get good and charged up like he is.
On the tee at 15, Tom Weiskopf. Tom has birdied 15 every day. A fine drive for Weiskopf. And he certainly will be in position to go for the green in 2. And now George Archer, who has birdied, and eagled 15. And a great tee shot by Archer. And so at this moment, in the final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament, the leaders are Charles Coody and George Archer at 7 under par.
We're back at Augusta National, where we now have 5 players within 2 shots of the leader. Let's go down to Kerry Middlecoff.
Well, Tom Weiskopf here on the 15th hole shows why his distance is so tremendous. He's 6'3", and notice is the big call at the top of his backswing. He's below parallel, much as though like Ben Hogan was years and years ago. And then on his downswing, he just completely uncalls, gets out of the way with his left side, and really creates some clubhead speed. Big high follow through. And of course, this is the widest hole on the golf course and the best one to really take a pop at it. Now out to 15.
George Knudson for a birdie 4. Billy Casper for a birdie 3. George Knudson gets his birdie and moves to 5 under par. Charles Coody now with his second shot over the back edge of the green. He is about 45 feet from the pin, and as Kerry Middlecoff pointed out just a moment ago, he is chipping to a very fast green. Coody has birdied 15 every day. He has had rounds of 74, 68, 69, and there is just an excellent view of the task facing Coody. Billy Casper got the par, so he remains at 5 under par and just 2 strokes off the pace. Charles Coody now. He is tied for the lead with George Archer, who is waiting up this 15th fairway. Appreciation from this gallery for just a master shot by Charles Coody, who is that close to a birdie that would give him the lead. Charles Coody is 8 under par. And there is George Archer, who just relinquished his share of the lead. Archer now has birdied, and yesterday eagled. It was just the second eagle of the tournament at 15. We had a third today. Now, from behind the green and looking up the fairway, George Archer's tee shot was on the right side of the fairway. From 200 yards.
Come in there, right? Baby, come in.
He was short. We do not know for sure if it stayed in that area on the bank between the green and the water, so we will wait to see. It is in that vicinity. And now, Tom Weiskopf, who is 6 under par, 2 strokes behind Charles Coody, 1 stroke behind Archer. Weiskopf has birdied 15 every day on his way to rounds of 71, 71, and 69. Over the water onto a green that is 50 feet from front to back. Over the water. 17 feet away from an eagle is Tom Weiskopf, and now to 16.
And on the 16th tee, George Knudson of Canada, 5 under. Ruled on the flag, a little bit short. He's done with 1 club more. That's George Knudson of Canada, 5 under. Playing with the present leader, Charles Coody. Out on his own, 1 ahead now of Archer, who's just behind him. May well catch up on the 15th. This is 16th. Charles Coody, the present leader, 8 under par. One ahead of George Archer, who's playing the hole behind and may well get a birdie. So now on the 16th tee, Charles Coody, the leader, at 8 under, 190 yards. That's George Archer dropping at the hole before and losing a stroke. We're back to the 16th, the short hole, 190 yards. Charles Coody, the leader. And it's a bit left, but we saw a splash, but I'm pretty sure it was sand and not water. And Charles Coody, I think almost certainly, is in a little sand trap. Now we go back to 50.
The gentleman of the Rules Committee indicating that his second shot was in the water. Archer has dropped. He's shooting 4. And although a difficult putt, George Archer could still salvage a par at 15. And so at this moment in the final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament, the leader is Charles Coody at 8 under par.
We're back at Augusta National Golf Club, where tension continues to mount and action continues. 6 players within 3 shots of the lead, and let's go now to 15.
Tom Weiskopf is in position for an eagle 3. He trails the leader by 2 shots. And the leader, Charles Coody, remember now, is in the bunker at 16. Charles Coody at 16 as Weiskopf prepares to putt from just off the putting surface, just at the fringe. From 16 feet. But still in position for a birdie that could move him to 7 under par. Charles Coody considerably short at 16. George Archer is on the green at 15 in position for a par putt. So it is certainly not beyond the realm of possibility that within a matter of a moment or so that we will have a 3-way tie for the lead. George Archer is above the cup. Yesterday at 15, Archer made a putt of some 23 feet for an eagle. Now at 16.
Now on 16, there's George Knudson putting up from at least 30 feet. 5 under par. And now 6 under. 6 under for Knudson. And that could conceivably be a historic and winning shot. 6 under.
George Archer for a par. So George Archer is 7 under. Tom Weiskopf, if he makes this putt, will be 7 under. As Weiskopf prepares to putt for a birdie at 15. Charles Coody's attempt. That was for a par. He is short. Weiskopf birdies. He's 7 under. Weiskopf has a share of the lead. And at 16 now.
And here's Charles Coody, having dropped one shot already, splashed out of the bunker rather short with his putt, his critical moment, and now got this nasty little one for a 4. He's safely in with a 4, but he drops a stroke. He goes back to 7, and so it's 7 under for Archer and Weiskopf and Coody. And now on the tee, 16 just behind them, tall figure of George Archer and Tom Weiskopf. Both 7 under, equal with Charles Coody, who's just walking through those trees on the right top side there to go to the 17th tee. This is the 16th. Weiskopf to play first. And the cheering round here is for when the big crowd see on the leaderboard that all 3 are now tied at 7 under. Coody with 2 to play, and these 2 with 3 to play. Weiskopf to play first. Close behind George Knudson of Canada after that marvelous putt. And quickly to Casper, who has just an outside chance of an eagle 3 at 15. That's Tom Weiskopf. 190 yards this hole, and as the flag is right on the back, the center of the green, it'll play every inch of its 190 yards. So this is the 16th. 2 of them here, Weiskopf and Archer, out of the 3 who are tying at this moment at 7 under 17.
Charles Coody on the tee. And he splits the 17th fairway with a fine tee shot in excellent position.
Back to 16.
Now, at 16, Weiskopf walking forward. None of these 3 have won this great tournament before, and so the next hour is going to make all the difference to their golfing lives. First, Tom Weiskopf, tee at 60. That's high up, reasonably straight. And he'd settle for that one. I think it's rolling back a bit and perhaps 30 feet from the flag. He'll have a straightforward uphill putt at Tom Weiskopf. Now George Archer. Also 7 under. Starting out a little to the right and curving in towards the flag, and will it reach it? And there's a magnificent shot. Magnificent shot by George Archer, which is no more than 7 feet from the hole. And so to 15.
Billy Casper, recognized, I think, generally as one of the game's great putters, is 50 feet away from the cup. He is 5 under par, having started the day at 8 under par. This is the first time in the tournament that Billy Casper has gone for the green with his second shot at 15. Just a little bit beyond hole high is Casper. He is looking, by the way, over at 16, where the gallery responds after that. Oh, a great shot first by Weiskopf. And then following that shot by Weiskopf, an even more brilliant second shot. Second tee shot right there to the left of the pin as we look at it from George Archer. And there is George Archer. Now Casper from 50 feet for an eagle. If it drops, he's tied for the lead. He is very close to a birdie, which would move him to 6 under par with 3 holes to play. Kerry Middlecoff.
Well, Ray, I think that Billy Casper doesn't have much of a putt here for birdie. I think that no matter how Billy finishes in this tournament, he will wonder for many years whether he should have shot at this green sooner. This is the first day that he's tried to get on it in 2. It's played short every day, and now he did birdie it, and he'll wonder. Now to 16.
Back on 16, it's Tom Weiskopf to putt first from a good 30 feet. He's got a fairly straightforward uphill putt. We go to 17.
Charles Coody with his second shot in the fairway. 400-yard par 4. He is going to be far to the right and misses the green entirely and rolls down the embankment. Now you can see the shot that Coody will have for his third, as he'll have a tough time salvaging his par to 16.
And now Tom Weiskopf's putt up the slope about 30 feet. Not quite the line, not quite the legs, but stone dead, and that's going to be a par 3 for Tom Weiskopf, and he'll stay 7 under. Now, in a moment, we shall have this really crucial putt by George Archer for his 2 to take the lead. And I would say that this is just about his length, in the sense that if he lay down there, he's 6'6", and I think he'd just about cover it. Brilliant tee shot at this moment. George Archer. So it's this for George Archer to take the lead at 8 under if he can get this one for a birdie 2 on the 16th. George Archer. By such are tournaments won and lost. That's the shortest stroke we shall see in the Masters this year. So that's still 7 under for both of them as they leave the 16th, and we go to 17.
Where Charlie Coody is about to hit his third shot, he'll have to come up the embankment and then toward the hole, which is cut in the upper right-hand portion of this green, 13 feet from the back edge and 20 feet over from the side. This will be a very difficult third shot. Coody, 31 years old, from Stanford, Texas, one-time semifinalist in the U.S. Amateur. Never won a major tournament. Qualified for the Masters by finishing in the top 16 of the U.S. Open last year. This is his 4th Masters. A very important shot here. He has still left himself quite a putt for his par 4. His playing partner, George Knudson, is in position to make this a 4-way tie. Knudson has a long putt here, 30, 35 feet. Coming for the most part uphill as his pin is cut in near the top of a ridge. If he would make this putt, we would have a 4-way tie for the 1969 Masters. Weiskopf on the 17th tee. He is far to the right-hand side and right in the area of one of our television cameras. Knudson, meanwhile, missed that birdie attempt, left it just a couple of feet short. He'll have this short putt now for his par 4. If he makes it, he stays 1 shot off the lead. George Archer on the 17th tee. He starts his shot far to the right side in the same general direction as Weiskopf's. And he may be in a little worse trouble than Tom was. He's got a little difficulty out there back of 3 earthen mounds. We'll have virtually a blind shot to this 17th green. Now Charlie Coody back on the 17th green, and he needs this putt to retain his share of the lead. Tied along with Archer and Weiskopf. He is 10 to 12 feet away. Tricky little putt, breaking slightly to his right. So our leaders drop to 2, Weiskopf and Archer, as Coody falls out of the 3-way tie by bogeying the 17th. And so at this moment in the final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament, the leaders, George Archer and Tom Weiskopf at 7 under par.
The tee shot of George Knudson at 18. And from the reaction of the crowd, it must have been a good one. Right in the middle, just between the woods and the fairway bunkers, right where he would like to put it. And now the tee shot of Charles Coody, who just bogeyed 17 to drop out of the lead and go 6 under par. Now to 16. Coody also bogeyed the 16th hole and the 17th, lost 2 shots. He appears to have pulled it to the left, and it goes out in the practice fairway, over the traps and way out in the middle of the practice fairway. He'll have a difficult shot coming into 18, where he desperately needs a birdie. There have only been 4 here all day. And a very, very dejected Charles Coody. Kerry Middlecoff?
Well, Charlie Coody has not got really a golf swing to pattern after, because as he comes on his downswing, he makes a big lateral movement and with his shoulders, and he plays mostly with his right hand, but he's got great right hand control, and now back to 16.
On 16, we see the last here of Billy Casper, who has this for a par 3. Just not quite on the green with his tee shot, tipped up to here. And so Casper remains 6 under, only 1 stroke from the leaders. And now to 17.
Both George Archer and Tom Weiskopf have problems here on 17. In the middle of your picture, you might be able to see Archer's head. He is behind a large earthen mound in the area of a couple of pine trees, about 150 yards out, and will have to hit a blind second shot to the 17th green. This has been a very tough hole today. We have had 11 bogeys, 2 double bogeys, and only 2 birdies. Here comes Archer's shot. He is on the far left-hand fringe of the green and has to be 70 to 75 feet away from the pin. Now, Tom Weiskopf is a little bit closer, but in much the same predicament as George Archer. He is far to the right-hand side and may have a partially blind shot himself, as he is hidden behind one of those large earthen mounds. Weiskopf is 26 years old. If he should win the Masters, he would not be the youngest man ever to win it. Jack Nicklaus, you might recall, was 23 when he won his first Masters. Weiskopf is in the bunker, guarding the right side of this green. So Weiskopf is in trouble, though he has a good lie there. He's going to have a very difficult shot coming out there to the pin. So the leaders both in a bit of trouble here on 17. Tom Weiskopf and George Archer, and we go to 18.
And over there is where 6 under par Charles Coody hit his tee shot. Here's his shot as you look back from behind the 18th green. Coody desperately needs a birdie here. He is 6 under par and 1 shot back of the co-leaders. Let's go now back to 17.
Billy Casper on the tee. Keep in mind, he is just 1 shot behind the leaders. And Casper have played this hole very well the past 3 days. 2 birdies and a par. His shot is off to the left side of the fairway, and he appears to be in pretty good shape. He'll have a clear shot to the green from that standpoint. Let's go to 18.
Knudsen's second shot to 18. Knudsen, too, just 1 shot. Knudsen is on the putting surface and rolling back, where he will have some 25, 28 feet. Back to 17 now.
Tom Weiskopf about to come out of the bunker, his 3rd shot on this par 4. He'll have to put a lot of stop on it. That's a fine shot by Tom Weiskopf, and he'll be in position to make his par and retain his share of the lead. That will be still a tricky putt, however, for Weiskopf. He's 6, 7 feet away. That putt of Weiskopf's will have to come uphill with a little bit of a break to the right. And most putts we've seen hit from this area have gone below the cup. George Archer on the far side of the green, the left side. And we have ascertained by measurement that it is 71 feet from the pin to the edge of the green on that side, and he is very close to the edge. So this is close to 70 feet away. This would be a birdie attempt. He'll have to come uphill most of the way as the green slopes toward Archer. It could mean the lead if he made it. Archer has 4 to 5 feet remaining for his par 4. George tied for 16th in the tournament a couple of years ago, tied for 22nd last year. This is his 3rd Masters. At the age of 29, looking for his first major championship. Should they both miss these putts, we would have an almost unprecedented 5-way tie for this title. Archer remains at 7 under par and ensures his share of the lead. Now Weiskopf, whose putt is a little more difficult. That putt by Archer could have been the most important of his career, depending now on what Tom Weiskopf does. He has a 6 to 8 footer here, slightly uphill, and with a little bit of break to his right. We have information that Charles Coody is waiting for a ruling on the 18th fairway, discussing it with a member of the Rules Committee, as you can see. Now Weiskopf, with a chance to retain his share of the lead at 7 under par. If he misses it, George Archer is the undisputed leader. You saw what happened. Weiskopf will go to 6 under par, joining Billy Casper, George Knudson, and Charles Coody. A very dejected Tom Weiskopf. Bogeying the 17th hole. So Weiskopf will have one more hole to make up that deficit, as he and his playing partner, George Archer, head for the 18th tee. Meanwhile, out on the 17th fairway, Billy Casper has hit a fine tee shot off to the left side. Casper started the day 8 under par. We go to 18.
Charles Coody, preparing to hit his second shot up to the 18th green, had asked for a ruling and was given a drop. Now let's go back to 17.
That's Billy Casper's second shot to the 17th green. He is off to the right and down the embankment, not far from the same position where Charles Coody was. Back to 18.
That's the drive of George Archer, who is in good shape in the middle of the fairway, not involved with the bunkers and clear of the trees. As you look back toward the 18th tee, where Tom Weiskopf now prepares to hit. Weiskopf needs a birdie. George Archer is the leader now at 7 under par. Billy Casper is 6 under, and so are the two gentlemen who are up here on the 18th green. So at this moment, in the final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament, the leader is George Archer, 7 under par. Action continues in the fourth and final round of the Masters tournament. Now let's go to Kerry Middlecoff.
Well, the two drives that Archer and Weiskopf hit, Archer's perfect. I don't know if he used a driver or not. He's in the center and short of this bunker. Weiskopf, I don't know if he ducked it or not, but he's here in the fairway, a difficult shot, but what wind there is a little bit against him to help him some. So back to 17 now.
Billy Casper chipping off the edge of the 17th green. His third. And puts him in good position for his par, but keep in mind he needs to pick up a stroke as he trails the leader, George Archer, by 1, with just 1 hole to play. Casper, a very frustrating day, started 8 under, dropped back to 3 under after shooting a 40 on the front 9, and picked up 3 more of those strokes. And now he stands at 6 under. We pause 5 seconds for station identification. Miller Barber with a birdie putt attempt at 17. He's 3 under for the tournament. Once again breaking below the hole. Barber himself has had what must be for him a rather frustrating round, as he was in position to take a shot at this championship. He was 6 under starting today. And Miller has his par 4 to remain at 3 under for the tournament. Now Casper for his par. This is probably will be Billy's best finish in this tournament. He was 4th in 1960, his previous best finish. 38 years old, 2-time former U.S. Open champion. So Casper remains at 6 under par and 1 shot off the lead. Let's go to 18.
Coody needs to knock this in to tie the leader, George Archer. He's 6 under, probably putting. And Coody needed that. He left himself some 9 feet in his effort to par this 18th hole. But his playing partner, George Knudson, who is also 6 under par, has about a 25-foot putt. And should he knock it in, he could go into a tie for the lead with George Archer, who's playing just behind him. Kerry Middlecoff, how should this putt behave?
Well, Pat, it's sort of a double breaking putt. It'll go up the hill and break one way and back the other, and it's not the kind that you'd want to bet your life on, but at least it's a chance, and that's pretty good.
There have been 4 birdies here. And so George Knudson completes his round with a fine 6 under par. 6 under for the tournament, 2 under today. And so now George Archer has eliminated 2 of his challengers, Coody and Knudson. And you get some idea of what it looks like here at 18, this tremendous gallery. And I mean tremendous in sense of their knowledge, tremendous in sense of their manners. And the golfers all say the one thing that impresses them most is the courtesy of these people. As you look back down the fairway and look at Charles Coody now, who needs this for a par. This would leave him 6 under. And Charles Coody if he makes this putt, will have bogeyed 16, 17, and 18. He had an eagle at 15 to go 8 under par. At 13, I beg your pardon. Charles Coody winds up 5 under for the tournament in even par today. At the conclusion of the competition, we urge you to be with us for a resume of the day's play and the ceremony and interviews with the winner, the runner-up, and the low amateur, and also where the winner will receive his green jacket. Tom Weiskopf will hit his second shot. He is away. Weiskopf pulled his tee shot over behind the bunkers. He, too, one shot behind the leader, George Archer, and he, too, very much in need of a birdie here. Just on the upper plateau. If that ball had been, 2 or 3 feet shorter, it would have rolled back down the slope, and you would have heard a reaction from this gallery as they encouraged it back down. Here's George Archer now with his second shot. Fine shot by George Archer, the leader of the 1969 Masters Championship, 7 under par. And the man who is just 1 stroke behind, 6 under par, Tom Weiskopf. Back on the 18th tee, also 1 shot behind, Billy Casper, who had a 40 on the front 9 today. Casper, too, must birdie here at 18. And Casper's hit a perfect tee shot. Right between the traps and the woods. And Casper, after that 40 on the front 9, has now picked up 3 shots. He lost 5 in the first 10 holes. He's picked up 3. Here on the tee now, Miller Barber, who entered this tournament with a bad thumb and has played excellent golf. His drive hit that big pine tree and bounced back. It appears to be on the edge of the fairway. Listen, just listen to the reaction from this gallery to George Archer as he approaches the 18th green, the leader at 7 under par. Standing ovation. This gallery truly appreciates what this man has done. And so now we come down to the final putts of the 1969 Masters Championship. This man has a chance. He is above the cup. His putt will go all downhill. All he'll have to do is just start it rolling. He is 6 under par. He is 1 shot behind George Archer, his playing partner. Tom Weiskopf. He has parred this hole all 4 days. Now a par will not do it. All eyes will be on him and this birdie putt. What about this putt, Kerry?
Well, it's got a big break to his left, Pat, the first at least 15 feet of it. And then when it starts down the hill, it will straighten out, and it is very fast.
No doubt could see how fast this green is. Now he has a tough putt coming back to stay 6 under par. And so the challengers now are down to 1. It's Billy Casper, the man 1 shot behind George Archer, is waiting back in the middle of the 18th fairway. This looks to be about 5 feet. Somewhat dejected Tom Weiskopf, who does finish at 6 under par. Now George Archer. On the threshold of his first major championship ever. And now, Billy Casper still has a chance. And tall George Archer completes his round 7 under par. He played even par today. Archer made a very, very critical putt. And Archer is looking back down the fairway to what you are now looking at. To the second shot from the fairway of Billy Casper, who is 6 under, 1 shot behind George Archer. And Casper off the putting surface, very, very close to the edge of the bunker. And if he makes birdie from there, it will be, without doubt, one of the most remarkable shots ever in golf. His playing partner, Miller Barber, who is 3 under par. And as we started to say a minute ago, a very, very courageous performance by this man. There was some doubt whether or not he could even play in the tournament because of the condition that existed in his thumb. A week ago, I'm told, it was so swollen that he couldn't even grip the golf club. He started the day 6 under par. And a marvelous shot by Miller Barber. From under a tree, he just had to punch it out of there. And so at this moment, in the final round of the 1969 Masters Tournament, the leader is George Archer, 7 under par. Action back at the 18th green in the final round and the final twosome of the 1969 Masters Tournament. The shot of Billy Casper, who needs this to tie George Archer. He has about 35, 36 feet of green to go across. Once he gets it on the green, he's just off the edge, close to the edge of the trap. Casper is 6 under par. George Archer has completed his round 7 under par. As we told you, Casper shot 40 on the front 9 today, and it looked like, well, it looked like he had just completely lost his grasp. But then a very, very courageous rally on the back 9, and he's gotten himself back to 6 under. Here is his shot. If Casper doesn't make this shot and make a birdie, then George Archer, who has completed his round, will have won his first major championship. And what a sight this is. He has asked his caddy to hold a pen. And so with that, passes the last challenger. And George Archer, 7 under par. At the conclusion of the competition, we urge you to be with us for a resume of the day's play and the ceremony and interviews with the winner, the runner-up, the low amateur, and also where the winner will receive his green jacket. And that green jacket will go to 6'6" George Archer. Now, Billy Casper needs this putt to remain 6 under par. Now his playing partner, as Casper finishes the day 6 under par after starting 8 under par. So he wound up 2 over for today's round. Another barber. We'll return with the presentation of the green jacket, symbolic of the Masters Championship, in just a moment. And so from Augusta National Country Club, Augusta National Golf Club, in Augusta, Georgia, George Archer fought off challenges from George Knudson, from Billy Casper, and from Tom Wieskopf. And he has won the 1969 Masters Tournament. George Archer. Other scores, the big men, the Nicholas, the Palmer, the people that have made this tournament, the exciting competition that it is. Palmer, with his tremendous gallery that followed him throughout the tournament, wound up shooting rounds of 73, 75, 70, and 74. Jack Nicklaus on the first day spun a 68, but after that Jack could not put his putter to work, and he wound up Stockton 1 over par. January 5 under. He had the low round of the day with a 66. Gardner Dickinson 6 over. Burroughs 7 over. Charles 5 over. Palmer 4 over. Bernardini 5 over. Doug Sanders 7 over. Gary Player 7 over. Ken Still 6 over. Dave Hill 3 over. Trevino 2 over. Dean Beeman 2 over. Art Wall 9 over. Kermit Zarley 8 over. Bob Golby, the defending champion, 9 over par. Ray Floyd 8 over. And now to our informal ceremonies and Frank Gifford.
Thank you, and I, for a visit with our new champion, the presentation of the Masters Award, and a visit with our leaders, I'd like to have you meet the chairman of the Masters Tournament Committee, Mr. Clifford Roberts. Mr. Roberts.
Good afternoon. The president of our club, Mr. Bob Jones, was not able to be with us this year. It's the first Masters tournament that he has ever missed. And in this instance, I'm going to call on our old reliable, Mr. John Winters from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who will officiate in interviewing these young athletes. John has been a long-time member of our tournament organization and is otherwise well known to the world of golf. Mr. John Winters.
Thank you, Clifford. I think in keeping with our custom here, I will introduce at this time the low amateur in the tournament, Bruce Fleischer. Bruce, this is your first Masters, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is, and I can only say one thing, it's been a great week.
Well, I know you've had a couple of rounds that you thought were satisfactory and maybe 2 that you'd like to improve upon. But keep playing, and one of these days maybe you'll be up here getting the green coat.
Thank you very much. I just would also like to say I want to thank Mr. Roberts and certainly you yourself and all of the committee for letting me have this wonderful week. I would like to congratulate Mr. Archer over here. He's not only a great champion, but a big one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Well, at this tournament, we now have some runner-ups and we have a winner. So at this point, I will introduce one of the men who missed it by just 1. That'd be Tom Weiskopf. Tom, I think this is your second Masters, isn't it?
Yes, sir, and first of all, I'd like to congratulate George. I played with him today, and he played wonderful, just beautiful golf, and I'm sure everyone is proud that he's the Masters champion, and also would like to thank everyone that has anything to do with this golf tournament that sends me the invitation to play here. I think it's a great tournament. It was a great thrill for me, and it was a good experience. That's the way it goes, you know, but George is the winner, and we're just the runner-ups, and thank you very much. I appreciate everything.
Well, we're glad to have you, and of course, we'll expect you back next year and wish you all the success.
Thank you.
George, you gave it a pretty good run at this tournament. Was there anything out there, any shot maybe you'd like to replay in the last few holes this afternoon?
Well, really, no, I think I was fortunate to come as close as I did. I made a uphill putt at 15 and 16, and those were the only two that I made going uphill all week, so they were a bit of a surprise to me. But as I say, I feel fortunate to come on the way I did. It's not type of thing, you know, to birdie a couple holes coming home is a little unusual for me. I would like to congratulate George. He played good steady golf all day. I had my eye on the scoreboard, and he didn't fluctuate too much.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you and have you play so well, and we'll look forward to having you back next year.
Thank you, sir.
Billy, you're also a runner-up, and you came close, and we won't talk much about your first 9, but is there anything you'd like to say about what?
Well, Mr. Winters, it certainly is a thrill to be here at Augusta National, always playing here in the Masters. And I think this is truly one of the fine golf courses in the world. I played rather poorly the first 10 holes. I think I hit 2 greens in the first 10 holes, and actually I was 5 over par, and very fortunate to be 5 over par in the places that I placed the ball. But I did rally and came on, and I don't know whether the other fellows that were up front were watching the board, but I was making a couple birdies there at the end. But I would like to offer my congratulations to George, and he's a very fine player and has a wonderful touch on the greens, and that's exactly what it takes here at Augusta. You have to hit a lot of good iron shots, have to be reasonably long, and you have to putt extremely well, and this is what this young man does. And as I stated earlier in the week, I said the young players were going to make a great showing here. George, how'd you and I get in here? Certainly nice being here. Thank you very much.
Well, Billy,
Robertson.
you had a good run at it. And the only thing I can say is we'll look forward to having you back next year, and with good luck then.
Thank you.
Now we'll get down to the new champion. George, isn't this your, how many appearances you made here?
This is my 3rd appearance in the Masters, and certainly without a doubt it's the best I've ever done.
Well, I think you'd probably think that conditions were perfect, and
well, I'm very happy the tournament is over today and we don't play tomorrow, because I would not like to have to go out and play these 4 gentlemen tomorrow. I'm very happy that the day was enough, and I can't say enough about the tournament. Certainly I got every possible break I could get. I got a little downhearted out there on number 15. I took a chance. I hit a 4-iron, and I thought I hit a real good shot, but it went in the water, and I felt like I was in the water with that ball, but I kept trying and was very fortunate to get in there.
Well, don't you feel like you made a very fine recovery shot after putting that in the water?
Yes, I knew I had to keep trying to stay in there, and I was very fortunate to pull off a good chip, and I made a very good putt on that hole. It was one that you don't figure to make, and I was just very fortunate to get it in the hole.
Well, I don't think any of your fellow competitors would ever accuse you of being a weak putter by any means.
Well, it's the sports writers voted me putter of the year last year, and they sent me a plaque, and I was going to go home and take it off the wall the way I putted in Florida for the last month. I think I won last money down there every week for about 5 weeks, but certainly I think I'll keep that plaque after a week like this.
Well, you finished quite strongly yesterday, and knew you were in contention, and when you started out today, did you have full confidence that you were going to make it?
Well, I knew I had a possibility. Like I said to some of the other fellows, there was about 9 fellows that could win this tournament. It just depended who got red hot, and I was very fortunate. The other fellows did not shoot any real lights-out scores. I would like to mention Tom Weiskopf. I played with Tom today, and he played so good. I think he had me scared all the way around. Every time he hit it, he knocked it right next to the hole. But Tom did not sink too many putts. He missed quite a few putts from, I'd say, 10 feet and in. I think if Tom was making those putts, it would have been no contest. But that's the way it goes. I know Jack Nicklaus played the same way yesterday, and there's always the excuses. I'm just very happy to be the fellow sitting here making the stories up.
Well, you think the fact that Tom was playing so well and keeping right on your heels kind of egged you on to it?
Well, I knew Tom was playing extremely well, and I knew Charles Coody was playing well, and it was one of those things where I believe at one time I thought I had a 3-stroke lead, and but on this golf course, like I said earlier, you never have a big enough lead. You have to go for those par 5s out there, I feel, and you can get a couple bad breaks and it's all over for you.
John,
Well-
let's put the green coat on.
All right, I think it's time to not crown the new champion, but coat the new champion. Bob Golby, will you do the honors and put the new coat on George?
I'm amazed they have one my size. Thank you, Bob.
I think that's fine, George.